Today, we are diving into the blood-soaked origins of one of the most successful and enduring horror franchises in cinema history, Friday the 13th. Released in 1980, this film didn't just chase the success of Halloween, it carved out its own brutal corner in the slasher subgenre, establishing the infamous setting of Camp Crystal Lake and paving the way for the myth of Jason Voorhees. Get ready for a look back at the movie that made everyone afraid to go camping. Sean S. Cunningham is an American filmmaker best known for directing and producing the original 1980 film, Friday the 13th. Cunningham initially started his career working with director Wes Craven on films like The Last House on the Left. He was inspired to make a profitable horror film following the massive success of John Carpenter's Halloween. Though he only directed the first Friday the 13th, he has remained a producer and key figure throughout the franchise. His career goal with the original film was simply to create a low-budget, high-profit horror hit, which he certainly achieved, laying the foundation for one of the most iconic horror series in cinema history. Friday the 13th, 1980, has no literary origin in the traditional sense, but was created purely to capitalize on the success of 1978's slasher film Halloween. Director Sean S. Cunningham explicitly wanted to copy the formula of an isolated setting and a relentless killer. The working title for the screenplay, written by Victor Miller, was initially Long Night at Camp Blood. The memorable title Friday the 13th was chosen by Cunningham for marketing purposes before the script was even finalized. The story begins with a flashback to Camp Crystal Lake in 1958, where two teenage counselors are murdered by an unseen assailant. The camp closes, earning the local nickname Camp Blood. The main plot jumps to Friday, June 13th, 1979, as a group of enthusiastic young counselors arrive to reopen the long-abandoned Camp Crystal Lake. The new counselors, led by the owner Steve Christie, ignore the cryptic warnings from an old local named Crazy Ralph about the camp being cursed by death. As the teenagers begin to settle in and enjoy their time, indulging in typical summer camp activities and a little indiscretion, they are systematically stalked and gruesomely murdered one by one by an unseen killer. The killings are inventive and brutal, marking the film as a definitive work of the burgeoning slasher subgenre. Characters disappear, and the remaining ones become increasingly desperate and paranoid. Eventually, the focus shifts to the final girl, Alice, who discovers the bodies and is forced into a desperate confrontation. In the climax, the killer is revealed not to be a monstrous figure like Jason Voorhees, who only appears in a shocking dream sequence at the very end, but Pamela Voorhees, the seemingly benign cook and mother of a young boy named Jason, who drowned at the camp in 1957 due to the negligence of the counselors. Driven mad by grief and a desire for revenge, Pamela is killing anyone attempting to reopen the camp to prevent history from repeating itself. Alice engages in a brutal fight with Mrs. Voorhees, eventually decapitating her to survive. The film ends with Alice in the lake, experiencing the terrifying jump scare appearance of the child Jason, leaving the horror unresolved. Friday the 13th, 1980, is an essential, albeit flawed, piece of horror history. While the characters are simple, the film's tense atmosphere, isolated setting, and groundbreaking special effects are what truly made it a cultural phenomenon. It's not the best slasher, but it is the raw, pure prototype that launched 1,000 imitations and gave birth to the iconic Jason Voorhees.
But that will be enough. Friday the 13th.